Hello and welcome to the final captaincy video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout for the 2020-21 campaign. And what a great campaign it's been, with matches every night and busy. All the matches are on at the same time, woohoo, on Sunday. Home fans are back, and there's still plenty to motivate players, from golden boots to a seat among Europe's elite. My name is Joe, and joining me to find the best captaincy options for Game Week 38 is David. David, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. It feels really nice to be finally at the final hurdle.
Yeah.
It's been a bonkers campaign. Captaincy, I think, has probably been one of the things that's taken one of the biggest hits from how things have gone, because there's been so much variation and trends have been lasting not as long as they normally do, and things are just all over the place and postponed fixtures and all sorts of things. And we've often been forced into captaincy decisions based on the fact that, well, this team's playing twice, so we might as well, or things like that. It's nice to have everyone playing at the same time, and no doubles or whatever. And we're nearly there. We're nearly there.
So there are a number of players and teams with something to play for, whether it's personal honours or indeed getting into the Champions League. The top two are sewn up with Liverpool and Manchester United. The relegation places are sewn up, so they're out of the equation. But there are also other teams that have more to play for in terms of just simply getting more money from a higher placing in the Premier League, and also for pride as well. And also, they're just really good, and they've got a great fixture against teams that are actually not that good in terms of defensively. So we're going to look at the teams with something to play for first. And I think the best place to start is Liverpool. So all the stats I've got up on the screen. These will all be for the last 6 matches, and that's for all of the stats we put up. And also to timestamp this, we're recording this on Thursday morning. So any players that we mention, hopefully they won't get any training ground issues and will be fit and in contention to start on Sunday. So let's have a look at Liverpool. These are the last 6 matches. I've sorted it by expected goal involvement. So they play Crystal Palace. David, do you want to explain why Liverpool have to win, why they have to score a lot?
Yeah, so the top 4 situation as it stands at the moment, as you said, Man City, Man United all tied up. That's all fine. So it's a race to get 3rd and 4th, and it's a 3-horse race between Chelsea, Liverpool and Leicester. And basically all 3 teams have to win because of for various different reasons. So Chelsea are on 67 points. So if they draw, they go to 68. And if Liverpool and Leicester were to win, then they would finish below both of them. Liverpool need to, if they draw and the other 2 teams win, again, then they're on 67. The other 2 are above them. Same with Leicester as well. So basically, if you win, then you're probably in the top 4 if you're Liverpool, because at the moment they have the best goal difference of the 3. So they've got a goal difference of 24, Chelsea have 23, Leicester have 20. So in any scenario where they end up finishing on the same points, Liverpool are currently in the strongest position, but they're obviously going to want to consolidate on that because their goal difference is only 1 higher than Chelsea. Their goal difference is 4 higher than Leicester, but if Leicester win 5-0 and Liverpool win 1-0, then it starts to come down to a few other things. I think the goals scored, they're on the same. So in that scenario, it would then defer to goals scored, and then they'd finish below. So basically, the bottom line is Liverpool need to win, and they need to win big to avoid any concerns about not finishing in the top 4.
Which is absolutely great if you're trying to pick a captain, because they've got lots of players more than capable of hauling. So they play Crystal Palace. They haven't had, by their standards, they've had an okay season, but they're there for the taking potentially. Meanwhile, it's at home, so a semi-packed Kop will be looking at their players. So this will be extra motivation. Liverpool's home form has been awful this season, so will that improve? We certainly saw that with Everton, and that was something we spoke about in the Scoutcast. There were a number of teams where it didn't make too much difference. Manchester United, for example, fans are there or not, they're basically the same. But when it comes to a team like Everton, they definitely needed that. And it could be the case with Liverpool as well. Meanwhile, Salah is gunning for the Golden Boot. So that's something he wants. He's got that personal motivation there over Harry Kane. Expected goal involvement, last 6, Salah's top. Nearly 5 goals expected to be involved in. This is huge. He's scored 3 goals, had an assist. Mane is next. Expected goal involvement of 3.67, so just under 4. He's scored twice, had 2 assists as well. It's very creative, his stats as well. So 13 chances created, same as Salah. So they've got everything there. And then you've got Alexander-Arnold, huge creativity. Firmino is in the running. People are forgetting about Firmino. He's actually a quality striker. And then there's Robertson as well. He's a player I'm potentially going to get in. It makes sense for me. Because otherwise I'm going to have to play Joel Ward. So Robertson makes sense. But he's also a captaincy contender. 13 chances created. He's only had a couple of goal attempts. So I remember last game last season, he scored, I think. Or was it the season before? One of those two. He was at the
end of the season.
He was a final.
Someone always pops up, doesn't
he? He was a final day hero. So yeah, what do you reckon? I mean, there's all the stats. You've already gone through the evidence. It just sounds. It's got to be Salah or one of his colleagues, isn't it, for the armband?
Yeah, well, I mean, I certainly the need for Liverpool to win big in this game, I think, is going to be there, definitely. In terms of Salah's stats, I'm sort of, I feel a little bit let down by him after the midweek matches, because obviously scored 3 goals against a pretty obliging defence, and Salah wasn't involved in any of it. And I am still kind of looking at some of his stats in terms of conversion rate, and it sort of nettles at me a little bit, which doesn't mean no, it just means it's at the back of my mind. And I'm going to come on to Crystal Palace in a minute, because as much as Liverpool have a narrative, they do as well. But we'll have a look at Salah first. Okay. So 19 shots in the box last 6 is the 3rd highest in the league. 6 big chances is the joint 3rd best. But his 8 shots on target, we've got Bale, Mahrez, Calvert-Lewin, Greenwood, Watkins, Wood, Iheanacho, Havertz, Jota and Benteke have all had more shots on target than him. And it makes for a goal conversion. Yeah, but Benteke is actually top. So we're going to come back to him in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, so his goal conversion rate is 14%. Which, yeah, you've got a number of other players that are just performing better in that particular metric. And so then when he's just kind of stung me after the Burnley game, it just kind of, that sits at the back of my head. Now, as I said, that doesn't mean I'm not going to go with him, but we always try and assess both sides of these things to try and work out whether or not maybe there's some other players who don't have the same caveat. So I will just talk about Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson's last game. Yeah. So that's big for them, right? It's at Liverpool, where generally people, I don't want to say they don't like him, but he didn't do very well there.
No.
So if you like Roy Hodgson, which a lot of these players do, as we've seen from their Twitter this last week,
if
you want him to go out with a bang, you want to go and stop Liverpool getting in the Champions League at his former club, right? Christian Benteke, former Liverpool player, of course. Last 6 matches, top of the whole division for shots on target and shots in the box. Now, previously, people would have gone, oh, it's Benteke, like, he doesn't convert it. Well, I'm sorry, he does, because he's scored in each of his last 4 matches. So Palace are going to be up for this. I've got a former Liverpool player in Christian Benteke who's in good form. That doesn't mean, of course, that Salah isn't going to score. I know he's not a defensive player, but the point is there's a lot of reason for this group of Crystal Palace players to not just roll over. This isn't the beach for them. This is the last game of a manager who means a lot to them and to the club, and they can crash the party at the place of his former employers.
This could be his final game in football.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just, part of me thinks that they're going to be right up for this, and I don't think they're going to roll over.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're talking about Benteke, because it's something I was just doing a little bit of prep for tonight's Scoutcast, and something we've been looking over the last few weeks is unfashionable players, looking at the stats table and thinking, why are we ignoring these players with posting good stats? Do you know who else? Martinelli was one that we focused on, and guess what? He came up and scored. Ferran Torres was on that list as well, scored a hat-trick recently. And Benteke, Benteke's been there. So what you've raised with Benteke is really important, because part of people's brains are going to go, I'm not getting Benteke. Well, you've just given the reason they should be getting Benteke in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, arguably, it's the last day of the season, so if you were going to captain Benteke, I wouldn't look at that and think you're an idiot. I think that could work out. And also, last 6 matches, Liverpool have conceded more big chances than any other team in the whole league. So if we kind of did one of those kind of like little tests where you basically just make every team anonymous and every player anonymous, and you can basically say to someone, look, you can captain the guy who in the last 6 matches has scored 4 goals. He's top of the league for shots on target, and he's going up against the team that's conceded more big chances than anyone else in the rest of the league. But you don't tell them that it's Benteke against Liverpool. then they'd go, no brainer. So I don't know. I just think there's a bit of an opportunity there.
That's a great idea. You've just given me a great idea for a segment on the Scoutcast, or at least it should maybe an article. It's like a blind interview, for example, for job applications. You can't see who it is.
Yes, equal opportunities, isn't it?
Yes, it's equal opportunities in action with fancy Premier League players. But yeah, you just show the stats. And suddenly, you got people picking Benteke, Chris Wood, Antonio up front. Anyway, I think you put forward a good case for me not to get Robertson in, but also I think they've got the fact is they're going to, on paper, Salah is a good shot. What did you think about Mane as well for differential? I know some people will be thinking about him for the captaincy.
Yeah, I think he's had a tricky season, hasn't he? And I think there was a time when maybe I would have looked at it a couple of weeks ago when it looked like he was kind of ramping back up. But, if I am going to pick a Liverpool player, for everything I've said, if I was going to pick a Liverpool player, I would still probably just go Salah. The expected goal involvement is better. He is still shooting more often than Mane. Him not having as many shots on target as I'd like, Salah. Like that's not, like I said, it's not necessarily a reason to not captain him because we know he's the kind of player that can just turn it on. He can improve that curve of shots on target to shots in the box like from one week to the next. Whereas we just haven't quite really seen that with Mane this year. Again, it's last day of the season, so if you really need a big tilt, like a big sort of pray that Salah doesn't do anything, and that Mane's going to have a big game. Again, most of these candidates, because it's game week 38, I'm not going to, rubbish them as much as I normally would. But for my personal situation, I want to go for something relatively sensible / safe. So I would still encourage Salah over Mane, I think.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the worst defences table. Last 6 again. So this highlights some of the things you've just brought up there about Crystal Palace, and in terms of the table, they're pretty mid-table really. They've conceded 10 big chances, conceded 12 goals, but their expected goal involvement is 8. It's about 8.5, and that's well below the teams at the top there, of which you mentioned Liverpool. Liverpool are about the same as Crystal Palace in terms of defence. So far. But yeah, the worst team at the moment in terms of expected goals conceded, the Whipping Boys. It was previously Sheffield United, but it's now back to West Brom. It was West Brom earlier this season before Sam Allardyce. Now he's going. They're just shipping chances for fun. 16 big chances, which is not as many as Liverpool, but they've conceded 14 goals and their expected goal conceded is 12.8, which is the most out of any team over the last 6. And then you got Newcastle, and then you got Burnley, West Ham, and Sheffield United and Southampton. So it shows that there's potential for a lot of goals around for many popular candidates that we'll come to shortly. But we're talking about motivation. There's Spurs are playing Leicester. Let's start with Spurs first, then we'll move on to Leicester, because Leicester have the motivation of winning very well. They've got to smash Spurs, basically. So let's start with Spurs first before we go to Leicester. In terms of expected goal involvement, Kane top, same story. So just covering them off, same story. Son, I think it was Late Riser posted something on Twitter today that almost a third of Son's points have actually come in the first few matches of the season. So so I've got a picture of Kane and Son being all happier times. Kane looks like he's going. Bale's also in the mix, was rested midweek. Ali is an intriguing differential. But cover them off. Kane for the captaincy, worth it?
Well, I think Leicester plays some part in this because really Spurs, I suppose, as you say, kind of have nothing to lose, nothing to gain. Leicester need to throw the kitchen sink here. A draw is not good enough. Ooh. If they want, I mean, they can't not get Europa League, right? So what's the point in not giving this a go? If you don't throw the kitchen sink here, you aren't going to get Champions League, because if you lose or if you draw, then that's it. So you need to win. So if they need to win, then I feel like they're going to throw a lot forward, which could leave a lot of space behind to be exploited on the counter attack, which could benefit Spurs. But I still have my own doubts about Spurs players anyway. Yeah. For some of the reasons we've already mentioned. And one of the things that's disappointed me the most about Kane is that he spent a lot of the season doing very well for expected goals, involvement in terms of assists and goals and penalties. But over the last 6 matches, his minutes per expected goal involvement is one every 146.5 minutes. Lacazette, Adams, Giroud, Aguero, Martial, Wood, Origi, Cavani, Greenwood, Joelinton, Mane, Fernandes, Callum Wilson, Antonio Havertz, Iheanacho, Rodrigo, Salah, Jota, Willock, Dwight Gale and Gabriel Martinelli all have a better minutes per expected goal involvement than Kane.
Going back
over
to
the
that
last
unfashionable
6.
thing, Joe Willock, 11 points, 22 points as a captain last time out. Much better than my Salah option.
Yeah. So yeah, Kane is, I don't know. Again, if you're going to go for it, then I totally get it, because I think the fixture actually suits Spurs attackers, because I do think there'll be space to exploit. Especially on the flanks, if we're expecting them to play with a 3-4-1-2 or something like that. But the players themselves, I have slight doubts over whether or not they would capitalise. And as you say, with Kane, it's hard to say. Is he going to try and... is he going to leave? I suppose we don't actually really know that yet, but we suspect he might. Does he want to finish big in his last game, or is he just completely shattered? And is he going to save himself for the Euros? As an England fan and a Reading fan who doesn't really care about Spurs, no offence, I'd rather he saved himself, but we'll see.
He did a sort of a solo lap of honour. I mean, either he's going or he's just I mean, I know there's pictures circulating of Harry Kane in his Harry Kane room in his mansion, but he would have a massive ego if he just did a lap of honour and then just came back for game week 1 next season. Just like, I just thought you wanted to cheer me. So Leicester, something more to play for. Seat in Europe. So as you mentioned, Iheanacho is one of those players with better expected goal involvement. Got the stats up on the screen. Iheanacho expected goal involvement is 4.42, the highest of any Leicester player. He's by far the one. If I was going to captain a Leicester player, it would be him. Vardy could be in with a shout though. 14 shots in the box last 6, but just 5 on target. Iheanacho 13 shots in the box, 11 on target. How deadly is he? Iheanacho or bust? What do you reckon?
Yeah, Iheanacho for me would be has been the main Leicester attacker for a while. Vardy just is playing a different role. He's making a lot of those runs in behind, but he makes them often out to the flanks. I think it's possibly partially down to the fact that they don't have wingers, and they haven't had wingers for a while, because with Barnes being injured, they don't have any balance. Like if they want to play with wingers, they'd have to play him, I think, alongside like Albrighton on the other side, or maybe Perez, or just doesn't really work for them. So the side has more balance if they go with wing backs, but then because they've got wing backs instead of wingers, then it means that both Iheanacho and Vardy often have to drift left or right. And we're seeing it a lot more with Vardy, because obviously he's the faster player. He can stretch the defences, but he's not playing on that last shoulder anymore. Yeah. He's just playing a different role. So he's helping the team, but not in a way that will help fantasy managers. So Iheanacho for me, who obviously had a rest, came on second half against Chelsea. So, there's absolutely no... I mean, the thing is, they were going to start them both for this game anyway, because it's really important. Yeah. But if anyone was just worried about rotation, he's just had a rest. So he's definitely starting and their best player. So
yeah, I mean, objectively looking at this, Iheanacho is a really strong captaincy candidate for this, because they have to score a lot, and he is their most potent striking weapon. I don't know. I'm almost regretting getting rid of him now. But I think if you own Iheanacho, I think he has to be in the conversation for the captaincy. Moving on, those teams with motivation. Chelsea play Villa. As we've said, they need to draw, potentially not good enough. They need to win. And they need to win well, like all of these teams we're mentioning. So last 6, again, expected goal involvement. It's Havertz. Now, he's carrying an injury, so we're not sure. So if he is fit, if he gets the all clear, he is by far the best option. If you want to take a risk that he'll start. He's expected to be involved in nearly 4 goals. He's scored 3, actually, in the last 6. Then it's Werner, who's very quietly, his goal involvement's really good, and I think he's a big option for next season. But nevertheless, he's created 9 chances. He's had 13 shots inside the box, just 5 on target, 15 shots in total. But expected goal involvement nearly 3. So an option. Pulisic also in the running. Mount and Alonso, if we think that he'll start. Obviously, we know he has a goal in him, and there could be a clean sheet as well. So he could be on for a mega haul. Lots of options, I think, for Chelsea. For those who want to go a bit different with the armband, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's tricky because, as you say, they need to win. Possibly they need to win big. Chelsea don't typically do that under Tuchel, so it will involve a slight change of style if we're expecting them to try and thrash this game out. Because, if they win 1-0, I feel like they're probably going to be fine, because I just can't really see Leicester beating Spurs by 4 goals or more. I just can't see it. I know that Spurs defensively haven't been great, so I still feel like Tuchel will want to approach this game with some balance. So I'm not necessarily expecting this to be Chelsea go and win 4-0 there, but I'm not ruling it out, because I think that there are a couple of cracks in Villa's defensive system that could help some of the more potent Chelsea ones. So last 6 matches, Villa conceded 25 chances down their right-hand side, which is the 5th worst in the Premier League in that particular period, and it's also their worst as well. So they conceded 19 chances down their left, so Matt Targett doing very well, because that's their best flank. 23 through the middle, 25 on the left. So players that play through the middle and or left for Chelsea will do. They've got a better matchup in this game than the players on the other side. So that if Havertz is going to play number 9, then Werner could play on the left. If Werner's going to play number 9, then maybe Pulisic plays on the left. So then the only slight problem here is, of course, is actually who is going to play on the left and through the middle. We're not really ever that sure. But on Werner, I think he's been very unfortunate. I think his stats are somewhat skewed by VAR, because he was very unlucky not to come away, I think, with 2 goals against Leicester last time. So his stats technically should be better if you're going to, because the thing is, if they're all marginal offsides, and I don't think we should discount those sorts of scenarios in terms of their appeal, and you just get the sense with Werner that something's coming. Like, he's had like a really tough year, and I feel like he's either going to get the goal that helps Chelsea qualify for the Champions League, or he's going to score the winner in the final or something, because we know it's there. It's coming. So again, like I said, any of these game week 38 options, if someone said to me they're going to captain Werner, I'll be like, do you know what? Anything can happen on the last day of the season, so why not?
I think if you you definitely need a differential. All of those in your mini league aren't going to captain this player. Go for it. I think Werner is a great option, and I think he's going to be a good option for the future. But yeah, definitely a good captaincy shout. Meanwhile, elsewhere, it's a mixture of pride and extra cash finishing high up the table. So I'm going to just have a look back at the worst defences league. So we want attackers playing people at the top. So West Brom are technically the worst in terms of expected goals conceded. I know that Liverpool have actually conceded more big chances than them, but in terms of expected goals conceded, it's West Brom. They're the good defensive form that they were starting to show, just fallen off a cliff again. 14 goals conceded last 6. So Leeds are playing them. So I think Leeds players are really good shouts for the captaincy. I want more of them. I wish I could have more than 3. Bamford is top there over the last 6. So I know it was emerging that Harrison and Rafinha would be better options, but Bamford's still knocking around there, and hauled last time out. His expected goal involvement 2.66. Rafinha just below him, 2.45. Then Rodrigo, expected goal involvement last 6, 2.08 rather, and then Harrison 2.01. Some other stats there: Rafinha and Harrison, you can't tell them apart. Assists 3, chances created 13. Harrison has a slight edge of over starts, but that was good. Rafinha was injured. Corners, Harrison 18, Rafinha 13. Shots, Rafinha's taking more shots, 11 to Harrison's 8, but they're even 5.5. I mean, they don't look the same, but they're basically stats twins. Get one, maybe get both, but Bamford's an option there. Dallas, with his 5 chances created, bearing in mind he's a defender, and 15 corners he's taken. Tyler Roberts scores, is in the mix. Rodrigo, obviously also in the mix. Home game, West Brom, worst defence. What do you reckon? I mean, Leeds, this looks like one of these guys looks like a great captaincy shout.
Yeah, I've got to say, the narrative for this feels like we're about to anticipate big win for Leeds, I think, because with West Brom, Sam Allardyce is leaving, so with Roy Hodgson leaving, it's not last day of term for them. It's like, this is an occasion.
Last day of career. And
Yeah,
it's a
well,
career
possibly.
spanning, starting what in the 70s, early 70s.
Yeah, oh, it's insane. So there's so much reason to play up for that, right? West Brom are going down. A lot of these players may not still be there next season or whatever. But do they really care about Sam Allardyce? I mean, I certainly don't. And he's the guy that's helped them get relegated. When, well, let's be honest, I felt like they were actually making some progress under Slaven Bilic. The players will be a lot more wedded to Bilic because he's the guy they went up with. So I just can't really see how West Brom get up for this at all. And then let's not forget that they are going to the absolute cauldron of cacophonous noise that is Elland Road for their first Premier League game with fans in 16 years. The sheer weight of that surely will just make West Brom absolutely crumple like a paper bag, especially when you look at the stats that are on offer as well, in terms of, if you look at basically every sort of like area of their team. Last 6 matches, 37 chances conceded through the middle, worst in the league. 35 chances conceded down the right, worst in the league. And 25 down the left, third worst in the league. So pretty much every area of their defence is very obliging compared to the rest of the division. And Leeds are fitter than them as well. So the other thing is that there's always been this kind of idea that because Bielsa really sort of pushes his players on a fitness, they tend to tire out towards the end of the season, which I'm starting to kind of get the impression that the players know that that's there, the manager knows that that's there, and they're making a massive point of proving that wrong, because in the last 9 matches in the whole of the Premier League, Leeds have the joint most points. 6 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat. So this idea that they don't finish season strong this season, absolute load of rubbish. They're going up against possibly the worst defence in the league this week. They've got their fans finally behind them, and they're some of the best home fans in the country, some of the most intimidating and scary ones if you're the away team, and their players are in form. So if I was looking for a differential captain that I felt had a real strong chance of doing really well here, Bamford and Rafinha, because they're the 2 that I own, are very, very high up my list.
Harrison, Dallas, Harrison and Rafinha, I think I can't tell them apart in terms of
I mean, if I owned
points.
Harrison, I'd be thinking about it, definitely. Dallas less so, just because I feel just a bit more comfortable going for the attacking players. One thing I should just actually add on Leeds is that I think people were a bit worried about Bamford when he came off in the 57th minute, I think 2 games ago. And we thought, some people thought Rodrigo would replace him, but we've actually been dealt quite a nice hand in that Klitsch has been given early leave, so that he doesn't get injured ahead of the Euros, so that he can play for Poland, basically. And that's obviously left a spot in central midfield, which Rodrigo has taken, which means that we get to have Rodrigo and Bamford in the team at the same time, which I just think kind of electrifies the team a little bit more. They've been playing 3-3-3-1 recently, which means that Dallas is now in a slightly deeper role than when they were playing 4-1-4-1. In the 4-1-4-1, he's in the central midfield as a kind of box-to-box. But in the 3-3-3-1, he's kind of a wing back, because you've got 3 central defenders, then you've got 3 defensive midfielders, of which you've got Alioski and Dallas either side of Phillips, and then you've got Harrison, Rodrigo, and Rafinha, and then Bamford. So the 3-3-3-1 actually just pulls Dallas a little bit further away from the action than in the other formation. So I probably wouldn't be captain in Dallas, but again, it's game week 38, so who knows? He could be on for a double-digit haul from a clean sheet and an assist. So not a bad option, just not for me.
Yeah, really good. I mean, I'm now not only tempted to get another Leeds player in, but even at the risk of a hit, because I'm that convinced now. But so therefore, the captaincy is a good option. Let's have a look at the fixtures again. Because there are more candidates as well. And the ones that really stand out to me, I think, are Antonio at home to Southampton. There were hints that he's going to be on penalties. Rice missed them. He's their designated penalty taker, but Rice missed one. And Antonio was asked, would he take penalties? And I think he said 100%. And someone's got to take them and be brilliant or something, words to that effect. So yeah, and he's gunning for a record as well, the goal scoring record for West Ham. So he is an option, I think. And our man Chris Wood,
of course,
is away to Sheffield United. He's going to want to finish the season well. Still posting good stats. So let's have a look at all players. XGI, so expected goal involvement, last 6, just to see where some of those options are. Here we can see Salah's top, Iheanacho next. So both strong candidates. Then you got Jota. So if he's recovered, an option. But is he going to start? Is he going to play? It's very doubtful at this stage. Antonio is next up there. So a very, very strong candidate. And Martinelli. The only thing that puts me off here isn't Martinelli or his stats or the fact he's 4.9. It's the fact he's up against Brighton, who, along with Man City, one of the best defences this season.
And Dunk is back as well.
And Lewis Dunk is back, so hard luck, Martinelli. And then Bruno Fernandes, I don't think he's going to play. I just don't think Manchester United assets that we like are going to play. Then there's Havertz, and then there's Chris Wood, Harry Kane, and Mane. That's the list of expected goal involvement sorted by last 6 matches. So all of these are options here. But yeah, what do you reckon? Some of those other differential options like Antonio, Chris Wood even?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Wood against Sheffield United is one I really like. Sheffield United's defence has got a little bit better, but it's still one of the worst in the division. So I can't really see a clean sheet there. The 5th worst for expected goals conceded. And Chris Wood is still, I think, top 5 for shots on target. He's at 10 in the last 6. So he was top, but he's still top 5. So against an obliging defence, I think he can get something. West Ham, hard to know exactly what to expect from them because I feel like there will be an element of disappointment about how they've kind of missed out on where they were hoping to go. Lingard maybe has a point to prove in this game. Not that he necessarily has any additional points to prove, because I think he's very much sent the message that he should be in consideration for the Euros. He should be in consideration for the first team for Man United next season, for example. But, just to kind of cap it with a cherry on top, just to, a nice little reminder to Gareth Southgate, to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and David Moyes, of course, because I'm sure that West Ham will try and secure him on a permanent deal. He just has a number of parties to impress. So I think that could possibly... bring out his best in this game. We haven't seen it as much recently. It's a bit of a shame. I actually benched him for the most recent game week because I just watched him drop. So I wasn't the only one who sort of noticed that he'd become a little bit peripheral. Before Antonio came back, when they lost Cresswell, he was dropping deeper. He'd been playing up front, and then he was dropping deeper because they just didn't have as much creativity, and that obviously damaged his goal scoring ability. Then when Antonio came back, he wasn't really playing up front anymore. So again, sort of deeper kind of. Just a deeper line role. That has been frustrating as a Lingard owner. That's why I benched him. So there's that possible dynamic that happens in this game, but I don't know. He strikes me as the kind of guy that at the moment is very much willing to kind of go out there and be like, hey, look at me. Like I said, he's got a number of people he has to impress in this game, so there's a possibility that we get something out of him.
I think I might go for him, to play him. Not captain him, but play him.
Yeah, same.
But it certainly makes Antonio a stronger prospect because a more creative Lingard is better for Antonio. I think we said it on the Scoutcast before. I said as I was considering benching Lingard, I fancy Antonio to do well, and someone's got to assist him, and it's probably going to be Lingard, and it was.
It could be the other way around. Yeah. Lingard's very good if he gets in the right places, can get beyond the hold-up man because he likes doing that. That's what we saw when he first started doing well when Antonio and him were in the team. So possibly even the other way around. The ball up to Antonio holds it up. Lingard makes a run. He plays the ball in. That wouldn't be the first time we've seen that this season. So there's that as well.
Okay, just before we go, I've got the fixtures up on the screen. Anything else? I mean, we've covered so many options. There's so many good options for people to consider. Wherever you are in your mini leagues or whatever rank target you're looking at. Loads of differentials, loads of... on paper, great options like the Liverpool assets. But anyone else we mentioned before we go?
No, I think we've covered most of the good ones. I think for me, it's probably going to come down to. So my bus captain was Salah. I think it's going to come down to Salah versus Rafinha or Bamford.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be the 3 that will be in my mind. Between now and Sunday's deadline. Although I've got transfers to make as well. It's possible I might bring in some of the other ones we talked about, but as things stand, they're the ones that I'm most sort of interested in.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of good options. So good luck, everyone, with your captaincy decisions. Just before we go, mention the members area. All those stats we've had pulled out there from the Fantasy Football Scout members area, all Opta-driven data there, so do have a look in there. Also, if you have liked this episode, do press like, and also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also wherever you receive your podcasts. But in the meantime, I've already said good luck everyone, but David, special good luck to you as well for your captaincy decision of this final one of the season.
Cheers. Thanks, Joe, and the same to you. And thanks again for another fantastic season doing the captaincy video. It's been great fun, and here's to many more in the next season.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye now.